Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's Devon, and this new touch auto dipping. Now in this video, we're gonna cover the top 10 questions asked when dipping your wheels. You wanna know those questions and answers? Y'all stay tuned. Before we get into the video, for those out there who rather jump straight into the hands-on, check out this video. This video right here will give you every detail from start to finish. It'll teach you pretty much tips and tricks and everything you'll need to have a successful project. First question, how many aerosol cans will I need? Now, there's a difference when it comes down to Plasti dip and hyper dip. Now we're gonna start out with a size, let's say 20-inch wheel. Anything below that and on up to 20, you will need 4 cans for Plasti dip. Hyper dip, you will need 5. Some, they'll say, what about 1 can per wheel? What happened with that? Now, you can do that with Plasti dip, but hyper dip on the other hand, you have to make sure that you layer it in order to get that proper build up. Plasti dip has its own benefits. Hyper dip has its own benefits, but the difference comes in with professionalism. Working with hyper dip, you'll learn more techniques. You'll learn more ways to be able to be professional with your aerosol cans. Plasti dip, that's a beginner's level. So if you feel like you're in between that, I suggest that you stick to that beginner's level and work your way up. Can I dip inside the garage or outside? You can do both, but you gotta understand that there will be challenges. The challenges will be Mother Nature. That's something you can't stop. So whether you're outside or inside, what you want to avoid is a lot of wind current. Weather that's too hot, 85 and up. Rainy days. Days where it just completed rain and it's a lot of moisture in the air. You want to avoid those things in order to complete a successful project. Now, when it comes down to the surroundings, you want to make sure you don't have anything that has dust and debris just floating around. Outside, you're going to have a different challenge, and that's the bugs. Now, when the bugs come into play, it's going to be hard for you to have that smooth finish that you want. So you got to understand that when you try to attempt these challenges. What materials will I need? DipYourCar.com has all the materials and equipment you will need to complete a successful project. That kit that they have will calculate everything that you need and all the materials that you will use. Plasti dip, you'll have 4 aerosol cans. Hyper dip, you'll have 5 aerosol cans. Now those kits come along with a microfiber towel, masking bags, dip release, pre-dip spray, and all the aerosol cans. Now, using that product, just follow instructions. They'll give you a card to pretty much guide you along the way. When it comes down to wheels that's bigger than the standard size that they apply the kits for, let's say 20 and up, you would need more product. You would need more aerosol cans. Now that's when your professionalism come in. If you're not familiar with how much more you will need, ask questions. You can leave me a comment and I'll give you the answer to that. How and what do I mask? Masking is like a technique. You have to know what you're doing and how much product you're going to use in order to pretty much save money and cover the proper areas. When it comes down to masking wheels, understand that the product that you're using is a removable product. You do not have to mask off as you would do permanent paint. Anything that you're spraying permanent is different from removable. So in my case, I would mask off the back of the wheel. That's the brake area. That's that area, and I will cover everything with the masking bags, or you can have some plastic bags that you have around the house if you don't have any from your kit. When you mask off that area, that's going to complete everything on the wheel surface, the rim surface rather, and it's going to make sure everything is covered. So everything that's shooting through the spokes, it won't come into contact with what's behind it. And when you're coming along the rubber edge of the wheel, you will use your dip release. That dip release is going to help all the paint that gets on that rubber area, and it's going to be able to release because it won't allow it to stick. Anything that's on your panels, let's say your fenders, quarter panel, or your bumpers, you won't need to mask it off. Some people have OCD and they just want to do that. You don't have to. The reason being is because you only will have light dust that'll be in the area. And it's, it may make contact to that area, but when it does, you can take a dry microfiber towel and you can simply wipe the area that you feel that may have contact. What's the wait time in between coats? Now that will determine the temperature. Now let's say if you have temperatures between 65 and 85, that's a perfect range. When you're spraying your coats, as you spray and as you finish, you want to give it 10 to 15 minutes in between. Now if you're unsure about that area being dry before you attempt your next layer, touch an area. Let's say your rubber portion of the wheel or a portion inside those spokes. If you can get to it and it's dry, then you can proceed with your next coats. How many coats will I need? When it comes down to that, it can get tricky because Plasti dip and hyper dip has its difference. Plasti dip, if you're trying to succeed a matte finish, you'll only need 5 to 6 coats. If you're trying to go beyond that and you want a satin, pearl, or gloss finish, you would need 3 to 4 additional coats, leaving you with 8 or 9 total coats. Hybrid dip, their products are different, so you don't have to have those extra aerosol cans to complete a satin or gloss finish because their products come straight out of the can. Now they give you 5 total cans for the hybrid dip project of wheels 20 inches and below. They state that they want you to use each aerosol can. I topped out at 12 coats per wheel. I know it's a lot, but look at it this way. For those out there who may do 6 coats of hyper dip and feel like it's complete, it looks good, your biggest challenge is going to come in the end when it comes down to removing that product or even keeping the longevity of it because it won't act right. It'll potentially peel simply by you just washing the vehicle. When do I remove the masking? Give yourself 1 hour before removing that. My techniques, I like to wait and then go behind the rim area and pull the masking from the back side of the rim. I do that to avoid any issues that may occur versus me pulling that between any of the spokes out the front. Now, you can have a potential attempt to where you're pulling and that product can be tacked along that masking and it's only going to lift it up. You got to keep that in mind. Now the rubber area where the dip release is, it's easy to remove that because that dip release is going to help you out a lot. But you have to think about this. What if you sprayed too much and it was too thick and it got to dripping? That means it's going to bond from that wheel to the dip release area on the tire. So you have to make sure that when you're pulling that, pull it slowly. Make sure nothing's in contact. And if it is, keep a blade beside you to where you can cut it. Plasti dip, on the other hand, it's easy to cut plasti dip with a blade. Hybrid dip, it's gonna be a little tougher because that product is more professional and it's thicker. It replicates vinyl more so than plasti dip. Give yourself 4 hours before you wanna take it for a spin. Let that vehicle properly adhere before you take it out versus all that wind that you're gonna come in contact with as your wheels spinning. Make sure it's cured properly. How do I clean and maintain it? Now you can go to diptycar.com's website and check out their products. They have aftercare products that'll help you with that washing portion. If you don't have those products, you can simply use soap and water. But the challenge is gonna come in with what do you wash it with? I like to use a shimmy. A shimmy pretty much glides across that product because it's compatible with it. When it comes down to drying, Just wring out that shimmy and just dry with that shimmy. It's better to use that than use a dull rag or a tough microfiber towel. Now, if you use those and they're dry, you're gonna have a rough time keeping your dip longevity. A dry microfiber towel and a dry rag is pretty much kryptonite to Plasti dip and hyper dip. What it does, it'll unravel the edges, and over time, it's just gonna come off because it's too rough. You have to understand that these products are removable. Now when it comes down to maintaining it and having the longevity, this is a must. The Dip Coat Protector Spray. Now that product is only sold on dipycar.com. You get that product and let's say, just think about it, the wax of the vehicle. That's what this here represents. What it does a little bit more. It'll protect that paint. It'll help that paint keep the water spots off, the bug spots. It'll protect it from the hot temperature that it's gonna come across, and it'll keep it looking fresh to where you can continue to love to see your dip. Some people go through the experience of, oh, it doesn't look the same when I had it painted the first time. You have to maintain it in order for it to look fresh. Where do I purchase it? Now, when it comes to Plasti dip and hyper dip, Plasti dip, you can find that pretty much anywhere. You can go to your local automotive shops and you can find that in AutoZone, O'Reilly. You can go to Home Depot, Lowe's. You can even find it in Walmart. Hyper dip, on the other hand, you'll only purchase that on dipycar.com. Currently, that's the only website that sells it. So that's the only way you can get it. Last but not least, the biggest question everybody wants to know: how does it hold up to car washing? I always say this: it's 2 rules. Rule number 1, follow instructions. Rule number 2, don't forget rule number 1. If you ask that question and you come to me and I'm like, how does it maintain with washing? Can it stand the car wash? If you apply it properly, you won't have any issues. If you have any issues, blame that installer, because something went wrong in between, and it normally reverts all the way back into the prep. Now, if you like this video and you like to leave an additional comment, don't hesitate to do so. Maybe you want to ask more questions. Maybe you have something you want to add to it. Leave a comment and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Now, if you haven't subscribed, please hit that subscribe button below. For those who have subscribed, I really appreciate the support. I want to say this also: these videos are my opinion, personally, on the products that I chose to use. So this is not a paid production. It's not sponsored, all right? Confidence, y'all. Thank you. Catch you on the next one.